Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Good Bad Score. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Collin.
And today, the Zack Snyder Justice League, or should I say the Snyder Cut, has finally arrived on HBO Max after years of everyone petitioning on social media of the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut. And today, we are going to discuss our thoughts about this new version of the Justice League. But before we start our review, I want to introduce a special friend of ours. You might remember him from our Tenet review. Please welcome back to our show, Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am so happy to be back on The Good, The Bad, The Score. What's going on, Andrew and Collin? How you guys been?
Good, man.
Great.
It's good to have you back.
All right. Yes.
Hey, it's
good
great
to have
to
you
be back. Wearing the same sweatshirt I wore last time.
Nothing's changed.
Yes.
No, well, something big changed, Collin. The Snyder Cut was released.
You're right. Finally.
Yes, it was.
We did not. No one thought this was going to happen. The Snyder Cut. It's finally here. It's actually real. It's completed, and we have our hands on it, and we're going to tell you whether or not it's worth sitting down and watching 4 hours of Justice League.
Really quick, before we get into that, I just want to point out, just to make sure that we do justice, to the people who made this happen. There were some people who believed in this happening, and it was all of the people on Twitter who started that movement. Hashtag Release the Snyder Cut. I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you see that they rented a billboard in Times Square for this? 2 years?
Yeah, they were committed.
I don't even have $5 anymore.
I did not know that. I did not know that. Wow.
And plane.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes, I did see the plane. I did see that. I did see the plane.
I saw that too.
So, is this movie good? Is Zack Snyder redeemed? Does this redeem the Justice League in Snyderverse? So I will begin with you, Joe. What are your thoughts of this film?
Hands down, the best Avengers movie I've seen to date.
No. Okay, well, the floor is yours, sir.
No, I kid. As someone who went and saw the Whedon cut, Justice League, as some people deem it, funnily enough, this wonderful poster I have next to me is actually for the Whedon cut. Don't tell Zach. I just think that's a really cool poster.
It is a
movie
cool poster.
Aside, I remember going to see the Whedon cut and being like, okay, I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, but I also knew that I had zero desire to watch it again. And then the whole Snyder Cut news came out, and I was like, all right, and mind you, I'll take a step back. I will say I wasn't the biggest fans of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. I've grown to appreciate them over time, especially Batman v Superman. But when there was the movement, I was kind of like, yeah, let's see what Zack Snyder would have done. Justice League felt like an incomplete movie, and I can say with full confidence that the Zack Snyder's Justice League cut of this movie is not only the cut that should have been seen, but the cut that deserves to be seen. I loved it. I don't know about you guys. Best 4 hours I've spent in a long time, especially during COVID.
After I saw the Snyder Cut, I went and watched the Justice League. While Andrew, go check out his review of the Justice League 2017 on the channel. So I did it in the reverse way, where I watched the Snyder version, then went back to the Joss Whedon version. And without a doubt, it's, again, that Justice League is in the category of BVS that interesting once in a lifetime kind of aborted experiment. The Snyder Cut is surprisingly really good. I'm not going to say great. I'm not going to say it's leaps and bounds anywhere near any of the Avengers. Maybe the first two, but it's debatable. But this is definitely... Honestly, Joss Whedon, that is a whole different video. Talk about Joss Whedon. But we'll talk about Snyder. This is Snyder's time to shine. He definitely... I'm so happy that he got to have an avenue to release this movie with. especially how it's a story that you needed 4 hours to tell it. It's amazing that it was released in general, that he didn't have to cut any corners or literally cut any of the movie. He did it his entire vision, and seeing the final product, I'm very disappointed that we're not going to see more movies from Snyder, because this is really what he was. This whole time he was building to make Justice League movies. This is such an incredible 4 hours. I've sat through the 4 hours in one sit-in twice, and both times we get to the point where it's like we get to the halfway point, and I'm just like, let's just keep it going. I have more praises to give this movie. I definitely have some criticisms, but I'm going to throw it over to the man himself. Andrew, tell us what you thought of the Snyder Cut.
I have to say, I was very impressed with this cut. It was enjoyable. Considering it was 4 hours long, I was very entertained. I had the plan of just watching it the first half one day and the second half the second day, but that clearly changed. I watched it all one day, and it was very good. I mean, I understand now why Ray Fisher, out of all the Justice League cast, was very vocal about the Snyder Cut, because he is in the entire movie. He's in the entire movie pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't say all of it, but he has a big part. I mean, this is almost like his movie, and he gives a great performance, and there was so much more depth with these characters, even the Flash as well, and the emotion in this is so much better than the Whedon Cut. There is so much great emotion, what you see, what happens in the movie, and the action is so much more enjoyable. It was so much triumph, and I feel like each of these heroes had their moments to shine, and you just see them doing teamwork when they're fighting against Steppenwolf compared to the Whedon Cut. And also, too, the music is so much better. I loved the music. I love that they brought back the Man of Steel's theme song. I love that they put Wonder Woman's theme song in there, and I liked how all these characters had a theme song. And it's a real spectacle to watch. The visuals were so detailed, especially with the scene where they talk about the mother boxes. I loved that scene. I loved the visuals. It was very stunning to look at. And I'm not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder, but I have to say, out of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, the Snyder Cut is by far his best work. He did an incredible job with it. I feel very sorry for what originally happened with this cut, but I understand too on both sides of why Warner Brothers did that, and I do take a lot of things back that I said about Zack Snyder. I mean, I don't know if he's my favorite director, but I was very impressed with this movie, and there's so much more I can go into detail, but I was very satisfied. So, all right, so let's talk about some negatives here. Joe, what are your complaints about the Snyder Cut?
Honestly, my biggest complaint, I'm gonna refrain because it might fall into spoiler territory, but my biggest complaint was the only new scene that they filmed for it, which featured Jared Leto. Publicly, it's been known that Jared Leto's scene was not ever filmed, and it was something that Zack wanted to put in. I understand why the scene exists. I think that the scene definitely builds a larger universe, but for a movie that may very well just be a one-off, I don't know why we're filming scenes to build the universe even farther, because right now we're not going to have a payoff to that. And so that scene just felt really shoehorned in. That being said, there were definitely some CGI moments that I was like, "Ooh, all right, we didn't finish that with the 3 years this was sitting in the canister." But other than that, I don't know if it's because of how much I enjoyed it that I just ignored the bad, but I don't really have much bad to say about the movie. Yeah, it's a long movie. If you're going to sit down and watch it, be prepared, but it's going to go by quick, too. So yeah, that's really my only bad things, I guess.
There's a point in the movie where you think, okay, it's over. Oh wait, no, it's not over. Okay, this is going to be the epilogue. Oh, okay, so now the point where the Whedon cut ended, we hit that point. That's going to be ended. Oh no, then we're going to go into the big scene that should have been its own movie at the end that Joe was talking about. We have to sit through that, and while it's cool, it feels like that kind of like dangling fruit that's like, oh, you could be getting this, but because of how Warner Brothers treated me, we're not going to be able to complete this. And at that point, I would have just cut it. The biggest problem I had was this one character that is meant to be a surprise in the movie. I thought the 2 scenes this character was in was completely unnecessary. That need to stay on the cutting room floor. While the effect, the costume looked fine, it served zero purpose to the overall movie, and especially at the end when it really seemed like a lame stinger rather than something that's like fans would kind of be kind of rooting for and wanted to see more.
Well, here's my negatives on it. One thing I've noticed with Zack Snyder, and especially in this Snyder cut, he gets very melodramatic with his scenes. I feel like there's a lot of slow motion going on. I mean, this is probably a nitpick, but I just felt like there's some slow motion shots that are necessary. I mean, for the Flash scene, yes, of course, that was very necessary. Of course, that's necessary. But I just feel like there was some like music choices like that they put into the movie for certain scenes, not like the score, but like picking song wise, and I just didn't think they were that great choices. Like the scene when Aquaman is walking into the bay, I actually like the music they picked for the Whedon cut. You have like this rock music, and then he's like walking in the Snyder cut, when he's walking into the bay, it's kind of like this very like very I don't know, very just like monotone like music, so I didn't really like that. I do feel like with Zack Snyder, and like what you were saying, Collin, like he just goes very too much with his material. And I feel like in his mind he has to go all out by introducing like more and more characters, and I do feel like there's like too much setup, and I just feel like just show what you have. Like don't worry about a setup. Like just stick to what this is about. I don't need to worry about a Justice League 2 or anything. And I did kind of feel like, again, he kind of shoehorns these scenes that are just unnecessary. And then another criticism I have too, there's one particular scene that was really good. It was very moving. There was some great performances. And then at the end of the scene, it kind of kills it with some big surprise. And it's probably similar to what you're saying, Collin. We'll talk more about it in the spoiler review. While this is 4 hours, I have no problem with it because it's on a streaming service. That's fine with me. And, of course, in a theatrical cut, and if it was in theaters, I probably would have more issues about the 4 hours. But just when I was watching it, I mean, I love the epilogue. I thought that is probably one of the scenes that stand out to me. But at the same time, I don't think we really needed it.
I have a quick question for you guys. And okay. It's a really important, do you feel like this movie, I understand that it's way longer than Warner Brothers would have wanted released, especially at the time, but, the way that they cut it, I kind of felt like we could have had a Cyborg solo movie
100%.
And the Justice League movie.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know why they just didn't do that. I understand that they were... Yeah, I know that they were rushed to get this thing out, but it's just for me, the whole time I was like, a good 2 hours of this movie is solely Cyborg content. He's literally half the movie.
I have my answer for this that I will go into the spoiler review. Go to that spoiler review. I'll explain exactly how this movie could have been in theaters and how they should have cut it.
My feelings is that Warner Brothers was so gung-ho about how can we make this better than Marvel? What's something that Marvel couldn't do that we can do? And I feel like their motivation was that it took 5 movies to get an Avengers film. And with them, it's it only took us 3 movies to get to a Justice League movie. All right, so let's get into our scores about this movie. So Joe, I'm going to give yours. I'm going to guess both of your scores. So Joe, I think you're gonna I think out of 3 of us, you loved this movie the most. And your complaints seem very minor to me. You need somebody to have too much complaints. So I think you're going to give this a 9 out of 10. And Colin, I think you definitely went more detail about your negatives. I think you're going to give this a 8 out of 10.
So I feel like Andrew liked the movie more than Colin, but I also feel like Colin was holding back his love for the movie a little bit.
Why do you say that? What?
No, I'm kidding. I think I have to go 6.5 for Colin and 7.5 for Andrew.
Okay, and I'm gonna say the same thing where I think that Joe definitely liked the movie the best. So I'm gonna say he's gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna say Andrew, as you like to do the decibels, I'm gonna say you're gonna give this an 8.75. And if I'm right, oh my gosh, I'm happy.
That'd be so funny.
Damn. All right. Well, I'll start off with my score. So, I thought about doing a decimal there,
Insert
Colin,
drums
but
here.
I thought about
Get
doing
the
it.
Wonder
I
Woman
actually
theme
thought
going.
about
Exactly.
I thought about a decimal, but I'm just gonna try to give this a solid number. I overall enjoyed this movie. This is absolutely my top 3 favorite of the DCU movies. So I'm gonna give the Snyder Cut an 8 out of 10.
All right, I'm sorry to disappoint, boys. I'm actually giving it an 8 out of 10 as well.
Whoa!
I know. There was a lot I liked, but I feel like just how much world building exists in it, it just didn't feel like a complete... Well, I gotta be careful. It definitely felt like a complete movie, but it didn't feel like a complete story for something that very well may be over now.
Right.
So I gotta go 8 out of 10, and that's with lots of love and lots of thought, but it's fun. I wish I could have seen it in theaters with people. Like, that was my big thing, too.
So I think you guys are a bit crazy. I think this was a complete trash fire. The upper lip on Superman's stash was really distracting. I didn't like the humor. Steppenwolf seemed so... Wait. Oh, we're talking about the Snyder one. We're talking about the Snyder one.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that upper lip, man. It just was so distracting. Now, looks like we're all on the same page here. I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10. It is a really good movie. There are flaws, but that makes it not reach that like epicness level. But thank God we got this cut, because this feels like the Justice League movie we deserve.
So, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Good Bad Score. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, and be sure to subscribe and even comment on our posts. Comment that you subscribe to our channel, even let us know what your thoughts of the Snyder Cut was. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And as always, I'm Andrew.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Joe.
There you go. And we will see you guys again with our next review. And stay tuned, because coming up later this week, we will have the spoiler review of the Snyder Cut. Have a good one, guys.
Hell yeah. Thanks, guys.